Hello, I'm Dr. Deb, Learning Strategies Department Chair and Learning Frameworks Instructor. Today you're watching the 5th video in a series on transitional issues that new college students often face. In today's video, I'm exploring the issue of learning how to learn and the misconceptions about learning that new college students often have. In addition to these false beliefs regarding learning, I will also explore the learning theories of experiential learning by Kolb and the information processing theory, the learning strategy of independent and dependent learners, and Cusio's principle on social interaction and collaboration with advisors. Victoria College's Total Learning Center presents Dr. Deb Explains, transition issue number 5, learning how to learn. So everyone tells us to learn, or we talk about learning something, but when are we ever taught how to actually learn? For the most part, I think that we all just stumble through school hoping to stumble upon something that actually works. And when we do, we often stick with that strategy or technique even when we know that it no longer works because it's all we know. This video is going to explore 4 of the false beliefs that students have regarding learning in college. First, there is the idea that the degree or the piece of paper is all that one needs to have a better life. In reality, being able to say that you have the degree for a job application is just the first step that gets the application submitted. After that, it's the individual skills and talents that make him or her stand out from all the rest of the applicants who have that same degree. Secondly, there is a belief that the degree gets you a higher salary. In some cases it does, but there are many jobs that don't make much more than those without a degree. However, what does come with a degree is a better overall lifestyle. Jobs that require a college degree often come with other benefits like health care, paid sick leave, and vacation time, as well as a host of other benefits that most hourly workers do not get. These careers lead to better lifestyles in which health, exercise, volunteering, etc. are all priorities and opportunities that those without degrees never see. Third, there is a false belief that multitasking is a good thing. In fact, multitasking isn't even real. What most people actually do is called switch tasking. They are dividing their attention from one task to another, and neither task is getting the attention or the focus 100% of the time. This often leads to mistakes or even accidents. Finally, there is the idea that one has a certain learning style. This can be visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, for example. In reality, individuals may have a preferred learning style, but we can all learn in a variety of ways. It is more important to take in information from a variety of sources, like dual coding, than it is to rely on just one sense to do all of one's learning. Those delivering the information deliver it to us in just one way. So if it isn't our preferred way of learning, we still have to learn it. Experiential learning is Kolb's theory that we all learn from experiences. We learn with this theory every day. If you have ever taken young children to the grocery store right before dinner, you have probably learned from that experience. You took the children to the store and they were hungry and they screamed for the junk food the whole entire time. This is the first stage in experiential learning where you have an experience or you act. Then, after the experience, you spend some time thinking about it or reflecting on it. You remember what happened and why it happened, and you vow that you will never again take your children to the store at that time. This is the third step of planning or conceptualizing the new experience. Then, when the opportunity arises that you have to go to the store again at the same time, you do something differently and leave the children at home. This is applying or executing your plan. Then, you learn from that experience all over again. How does this apply to learning how to learn? We use multisensory learning all the time when we learn through experience. But when it comes to learning in class, we usually revert to the old adage, I'm a visual learner or a kinesthetic learner, instead of realizing that we learn every day through multiple senses. And when it comes to the skills and knowledge that is going to get you that future job, experiential learning can help you gain the skills and knowledge that you need for the job that may not be addressed in your coursework. Information processing theory explains how our brains receive input, store it, and retrieve that data. The analogy is that our brains function much like a computer does. Our senses take in information constantly, like the hum of the air conditioner or the feel of the humidity. This information goes into our sensory memory, and most of it leaves just as quickly unless we take the time to pay attention to it. For instance, you smell something that reminds you of peanut butter cookies, and this leads you to think about your grandmother's peanut butter cookies. Since you paid attention to that information, that smell goes into your short-term memory. The information here only lasts a few seconds as well, unless you do something with it. If you practice the process of retrieval and rehearsal, the information can then go into long-term memory, where it can hopefully be retrieved when you need it. Even though it is in long-term memory, the information may still be lost or unable to be retrieved when you need it. Think about that file you saved on your computer last week. You didn't pay attention to where you saved it and can't remember the name of it, so you can't find it. The same thing happens in your brain. How can knowing this information help you learn it? For one thing, it means you really have to pay attention to the information that you were presented with, or you won't remember it. You cannot simply read something and have it go into your long-term memory. You have to connect it, rehearse it, and retrieve it. This is where the surface, strategic, and deep learning approaches come into play. The learning strategy of independent versus dependent learners is very similar to that of fixed and growth mindset and learned optimism and learned helplessness. An independent learner takes charge of his or her own learning. When faced with a problem, he or she tries to solve it with the information he or she is able to obtain. In contrast, a dependent learner will wait for someone to help him or her, or for someone to do it for him or her. In order to be a more independent learner, one has to work on 3 areas: the cognitive, the metacognitive, and the affective. The cognitive involves memory, attention, and problem solving, much like what we are discussing in this chapter. The affective involves curiosity, motivation from chapter 1, and resilience, which is grit from chapter 2. The metacognitive, we will get to in chapter 8, involves describing how learning occurs, which has roots in this chapter, monitoring one's progress while learning, and self-assessing one's learning. How does this help with learning how to learn? Independent learners monitor and know how to learn, so they are using the strategies and the theories that are most effective in order to learn better. Cusio's 3rd principle for success in college involves socially interacting and collaborating with others. In this chapter, we are discussing why it is important to socially interact and collaborate with your advisors. First, the advisors aren't going to tell you which classes to take, but they are going to try to ensure that you stay on your path so that you can graduate. They want you to succeed, and they know what is required for your specific degree. They can provide you with advice on when to take certain classes and discuss options with you based on your preferences. They are there to help you take the correct courses in the correct order, so use them to make the most of your college experience. That wraps up Learning How to Learn for this week. If you want to know more about the transition issues that college students often face, stay tuned for more videos as Dr. Deb explains.